Have you ever heard of a female pope, a woman who disguised herself as a man and allegedly reigned as the Pope during the Middle Ages? Today, we unravel the enigmatic tale of Pope Joan, a legendary figure whose story has captured imaginations for centuries. Born as Joan, but known as Ioannis Anglicus, she is said to have held the highest position in the Catholic Church during the Middle Ages. Her reign, however, was not your typical one. It was a reign filled with secrecy, deception, and ultimately, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the religious world. According to the chronicles, Joan was an extraordinarily talented and learned woman. She supposedly disguised herself as a man and skillfully navigated the complex hierarchy of the church, eventually ascending to the papacy. But her true identity was unexpectedly revealed when she gave birth during a procession. The aftermath was as dramatic as the revelation itself, with Joan's death following shortly after. The controversy surrounding Pope Joan is as varied as the versions of her story. The Vatican vehemently denies her existence, and she has been removed from its official lists. To prevent any similar occurrences, a ritual was supposedly created to ensure all future popes were male. Yet, the legend of Pope Joan persisted, with her story widely believed and used as a sermon example in Dominican preaching until the 16th century. But was Joan real or just a product of imaginative storytelling? The history of Pope Joan is riddled with more questions than answers, more skepticism than certainty. Despite the doubts, her story continues to be a subject of fascination and debate among historians and enthusiasts alike. A tale shrouded in mystery and controversy, let us delve into the fascinating chronicles of Pope Joan. The woman who would become Pope Joan was born in a time of great turmoil, in a society where women were often overlooked. This was the Middle Ages, a time when women were denied the opportunities and freedoms that were readily available to men. Born into this stark reality, Joan, or Ioannis Anglicus as she would come to be known, was no ordinary child. From a young age she displayed an intelligence and curiosity that set her apart from her peers. She had a thirst for knowledge that was insatiable. Whether it was the scriptures, literature, or the sciences, Joan soaked up knowledge like a sponge. Her intelligence was not her only distinguishing trait. She was also incredibly determined, a trait that would serve her well in the years to come. In a society that often overlooked women, Joan's intelligence and determination were both a blessing and a curse. She was blessed with a mind that craved knowledge and the determination to seek it, but cursed by societal constraints that sought to limit her. Despite these constraints, Joan was undeterred. She yearned for an education, for a chance to learn, grow, and contribute to society in a way that was meaningful. However, Joan's pursuit of knowledge was not without its challenges. She was a woman in a man's world, and the path to enlightenment was fraught with obstacles. Women were not allowed to attend school, to learn, or to teach. They were expected to marry, raise children, and maintain the home. But Joan was different. She wanted more from life than what society had prescribed for her. Joan's early life was marked by her defiance of societal norms. She refused to be relegated to the sidelines, to be silenced, or to be overlooked. She wanted to learn, to grow, and to contribute to society in a meaningful way. And so, in the face of adversity, she donned the guise of a man, a deception that would allow her to pursue her dreams. It was this thirst for knowledge that set Joan on a path that would lead her to the heart of the Catholic Church. Indeed, her journey was just beginning, and her story would become one of the most intriguing and controversial in the annals of history. She dressed as a man, took the name John, and entered the world of academia, a world that was, at the time, strictly off-limits to women. In the hallowed halls of the church's schools, Joan, or John as she was then known, was a standout scholar. Her intelligence, her eloquence, her deep understanding of theology and scripture, all were noticed and admired. She was a star in the making, her male colleagues none the wiser to her true identity. As Joan climbed the ecclesiastical ladder, her talents and skills propelling her ever upwards. Deacon, then cardinal, and finally, the unthinkable happened. Joan, the woman disguised as a man, was elected as Pope, the highest office in the Catholic Church, the spiritual leader of millions, the representative of God on earth, was, unbeknownst to all, a woman. Her election was not without controversy. There were those who questioned her rapid rise, those who sensed something was not quite right. But Joan, ever the master of deception, managed to quell the whispers, to maintain her disguise. She held fast to her secret, even as she took on the mantle of the papacy, even as she donned the white robes and the papal tiara. And so Joan, against all odds, found herself seated on the papal throne. The path she had walked was fraught with danger, with deception, with daring disguises. But Joan had navigated it all, had risen to the highest echelons of power, all while hiding her true identity. The path to the papacy, for Joan, was not just a journey of ascension, but a masterclass in survival and subterfuge. For 2 years Pope Joan led the Catholic Church, her true identity hidden behind the papal robes. A woman in the highest seat of the Catholic Church, a place where no woman had sat before and none has since. Yet to the world, she was Pope Ioannis Anglicus, a man of wisdom and piety. Under her reign, the Church saw a period of intellectual growth and spiritual development. Joan's profound knowledge and deep understanding of the scriptures were reflected in her sermons, which were said to inspire and uplift the faithful. She was known for her eloquent speeches, and her interpretations of the scriptures were considered insightful, offering fresh perspectives that captivated her listeners. However, Joan's reign was not just about spiritual guidance. She was also a shrewd administrator, managing the affairs of the Church with a keen eye and a steady hand. She maintained her disguise, not just through her attire, but also through her actions and decisions. She held herself with the authority and dignity expected of a pope, never allowing a hint of her true identity to slip. Joan's ability to maintain her disguise was a testament to her intelligence and resolve. She navigated the treacherous waters of church politics with ease, her decisions marked by wisdom and prudence. Her reign, while short, left an indelible mark on the Church, setting a high bar for her successors to meet. But Joan's reign was not without challenges. Maintaining her disguise meant constantly being on guard, living in fear of discovery. Every day was a test of her courage and resolve, a balancing act between leading the Church and preserving her secret. Even so, Joan's reign was a testament to her strength and determination. Her story serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most unlikely individuals can rise to the highest echelons of power and make a lasting impact. But as we all know, secrets have a way of coming out. In a shocking turn of events, Joan's secret was revealed in the most unimaginable way. It was during a procession, a grand spectacle of faith and devotion, a moment of reverence and awe. As the crowds gathered, none could have predicted the dramatic scene that was about to unfold. Joan, who had been masquerading as Pope Ioannis Anglicus, was about to be unmasked. The very event that led to her exposure was as natural as it was unexpected, the birth of a child. Picture this. The procession halts abruptly. A gasp ripples through the crowd. The Pope, the highest authority in the Catholic Church, is in labor. A woman in the garb of a man, giving birth in the midst of a religious procession. The shock, the disbelief, the scandal, it was all too much to bear. The woman who had skillfully navigated the intricacies of the Church, who had risen through the ranks, defying the norms of an institution steeped in patriarchy, was now revealed to the world. The Pope was a woman. The Pope was a mother. For some, this revelation was blasphemous, an affront to their faith. For others, it was a moment of profound realization, the realization of a woman's strength, her intellect, her ability to rule, even in disguise. Yet, the revelation came at a great cost. Joan's reign, marked by her wisdom and leadership, came to a sudden and tragic end. The woman who had once sat on the papal throne, revered and respected, was now an outcast, a pariah, a scandalous footnote in the annals of history. With her secret out, Joan's reign came to an abrupt end. The revelation of Pope Joan shook the foundations of the Catholic Church. The aftermath of her exposure was a period of upheaval and introspection. Stunned by the revelation of a woman who had risen to the papacy, the Church grappled with the implications of her deceit. Joan's death, which followed shortly after her unmasking, added another layer of complexity to the situation. Questions were raised, debates ignited, and the Church's credibility wavered in the face of such a scandal. In response, the Church made a concerted effort to erase Joan from its history. She was removed from official lists, her papacy deemed an aberration, a blip in the otherwise unbroken line of male popes. The Church sought to restore its image, to reinforce its doctrine and traditions, and to ensure that such a situation would never recur. To this end, a new ritual was introduced, a gender examination aimed at verifying the masculinity of future popes. This ritual, born out of the Joan scandal, was a testament to the magnitude of her impact. A woman had not only infiltrated the highest echelons of the church, but had also managed to reign for 2 years, undetected. Yet, despite the church's attempts to expunge her from memory, Joan's story endured. First appearing in chronicles in the 13th century, her legend spread throughout Europe, gaining prominence and evolving with each retelling. From Jean de Mailly's early chronicle, to Martin of Opava's Chronicon Pontificum et Imperatorum, Joan's tale was passed down through the ages, her name etched into the annals of history. Her legacy also seeped into cultural depictions, with her story serving as an exemplum in Dominican preaching and inspiring numerous works of art and literature. Miraculous happenings, such as raining blood and the appearance of locusts, were associated with her, further enhancing the mystique surrounding her figure. Though the Church may deny her existence, the legend of Pope Joan continues to echo through the ages. The tale of Pope Joan has been the subject of debate for centuries, with many questioning its authenticity. The narrative of Pope Joan, a woman said to have ascended to the highest position in the Catholic Church, has been a topic of intense historical dispute. The controversy began in the 16th century, when Catholic and Protestant writers started to question the veracity of the story that had been widely accepted since the 13th century. On one side of the debate, we have those who argue that Pope Joan was indeed a real figure. They point to chronicles like those of Jean de Mailly and Martin of Opava, which provide a detailed account of Joan's life and reign. Supporters also cite the ritual created by the Vatican to ensure future popes were male as evidence of Joan's existence. However, skeptics counter these claims, arguing that the legend of Pope Joan is nothing more than a medieval myth. They point out inconsistencies in the historical records, such as the fact that the earliest mention of a female pope only appears in the 13th century, several hundred years after Joan is said to have lived. They also note that no contemporary documents from the 9th century, the time of Joan's supposed reign, make any reference to a female pope. Moreover, some argue that the story of Pope Joan was a political tool used to discredit the papacy during a time of religious discord between Catholics and Protestants. The tale, they say, was an effective way of undermining the authority of the Church. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the legend of Pope Joan continues to intrigue and inspire. Her story has been the subject of numerous books, films and plays, reflecting our enduring fascination with this enigmatic figure. Whether fact or fiction, the story of Pope Joan remains one of the most captivating tales in history. Despite the controversy, Pope Joan's story has had a profound impact on history and culture. This legendary figure, a woman said to have ascended to the highest echelons of the Church only to be discovered due to an unexpected childbirth, has inspired countless works of art and literature. Her tale has been told and retold, each time with a new perspective, reflecting the evolving societal attitudes towards women in positions of power. From medieval chronicles to contemporary novels, the story of Pope Joan has been used as a lens to explore the complexities of gender, power and identity. Her narrative has challenged the stereotypical image of women in the Middle Ages, presenting an alternative view of a woman who, despite the constraints of her time, was able to reach the pinnacle of power. Moreover, Pope Joan has been embraced as a symbol of female empowerment, a testament to the courage and resilience of women who dare to defy societal norms and expectations. Her tale, whether fact or fiction, echoes in the corridors of power, reminding us of the potential for transformation and change, even in the most rigid of institutions. Pope Joan, a symbol of female empowerment and the power of disguise, remains an enduring figure in our collective imagination.